Hello and welcome to Liberty Wolf, episode number 38. My name is Zach Strong, the creator of Liberty Wolf. If you haven't watched any of my other content, go do that. There's some good stuff there. Subscribe if you like it. Share the videos. That's more important to me than subscribing. I want this content out there. So do your part. Now today we're going to talk about something very briefly. I'm just going to read a little bit, make maybe one or two quick points. I'm going to have two quotes. Not very much. Not a lot of editorializing here. Okay, so I'm going to read from Sun Tzu's The Art of War. It's one of the famous classic texts from military history, really, but from Chinese history. This is in ancient China. You had Sun Tzu, a military tactician, and he wrote this book. And I'm reading Lionel Giles's translation of it. This is, I believe, on MIT's website. I'm going to find the link for you and paste it in there below. Now I'm just going to read a few lines. Think about the current situation going on with Ukraine and Russia and the lead up to this struggle over the past little while, and you'll start to see all these little similarities in the tactics that have been used, and then expand out further and see what's been happening in our own country, in the United States and in the West, and see all the deception and all these various war techniques, okay? So here, right at the beginning, close to the beginning, he says this: all warfare is based on deception. Hence, when able to attack, we must seem unable. When using our forces, we must seem inactive. When we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away. When far away, we must make him believe we are near. Hold out baits to entice the enemy, feign disorder, and crush him. If he is secure at all points, be prepared for him. If he is in superior strength, evade him. If your opponent is of choleric temper, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak, that he may grow arrogant. If he is taking his ease, give him no rest. If his forces are united, separate them. Attack him where he is unprepared. Appear where you are not expected. These military devices leading to victory must not be divulged beforehand. Now the general who wins a battle makes many calculations in his temple ere the battle is fought. The general who loses a battle makes but few calculations beforehand. Thus do many calculations lead to victory, and few calculations to defeat. How much more no calculation at all? It is by attention to this point that I can foresee who is likely to win or lose. Now I'm going to skip down to another section of this great little book, to the attack by stratagem section. Where are we here? Okay. Well, there are a few great things here. He says, the skillful leader subdues the enemy's troops without any fighting. He captures their cities without laying siege to them. He overthrows their kingdom without lengthy operations in the field. So he's talking about you're going to have to do other types of operations. He doesn't really say psychological operations, but that's essentially what he's saying, though. He said, the highest form of generalship is to balk the enemy's plans. All right? And he says, to fight and conquer in all your battles is not supreme excellence. Supreme excellence consists in breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting. Again, what we would call psyops, psychological operations, tricking people. There's actually a great quote I want to interject here. This is a definition. Maybe you have heard of menticide. Maybe not. It's a word, menticide. The definition is the process of systematically altering beliefs and attitudes, especially through the use of drugs, torture, or psychological stress techniques, brainwashing. The destruction or undermining of a person's mental independence in order to alter his or her beliefs. Now, this is happening on a mass scale, globally. Now, I think it's significant that the word brainwashing actually comes from it's a literal translation of a Chinese term that they used under communism. You would go get your brain washed in the concentration camp, in the gulag. Now, I'm coming back to Sun Tzu here. I said I wasn't going to editorialize a whole lot. One last thing. Thus we may know that there are 5 essentials for victory. 1. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. 2. He will win who knows how to handle both superior and inferior forces. 3. He will win whose army is animated by the same spirit throughout all its ranks. 4. He will win who, prepared himself, waits to take the enemy unprepared. 5. He will win who has military capacity and is not interfered with by the sovereign. Hence the saying, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself, but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. And that's all I want to read from Sun Tzu. Click on the link below and read the whole Art of War if you'd like. I suggest it. It's really great. I mean, there's so many wonderful gems there we can pull out, and you can see all these things happening throughout the world. Now, I want to say one last thing. It does not take two to tango, okay, in a war. If one nation wants a war and another nation does not want a war, well, you're still going to have a war. Doesn't matter how much you don't want war. If someone else declares it against you or wages it against you, you're in it. And it's stupidity to say, we're not at war, we're not being attacked, and just kind of turn a blind eye, see no evil, hear no evil. And so we have to acknowledge that there is warfare going on. It's menticide, it's global brainwashing, there's a massive disinformation campaign going on from Russia, from China, from the United States, from all nations in the world. Israel's heavily engaged. It's just there's so much propaganda everywhere. It's hard to see what the truth is sometimes because it's just the fog of war, psychological war. It's everywhere. Okay, so unless you have some sort of discernment, unless you really get the big picture of what's going on in the world, that you understand there are a couple power centers in the world that they're on the same plan. Their goal is to install a Marxist, Leninist regime. It's a satanic Luciferian world order with them in control. The only difference is that on each side, they're the ones who want to be in control. It's like at the beginning of The Dark Knight. They're attacking, they're robbing the bank. The guys in the clown masks, right? And they're hired by the Joker. And so they're all there doing their parts. And after one guy finishes his part, you finished? Yeah, okay. He shoots that guy. So he gets a bigger cut of the cash, right? And so the next guy, he shoots that guy. And at the end, who's left? Just the Joker. He's the only guy left. The Joker in this analogy is Satan. He's the evil one. He's putting all these people against each other. So it doesn't really matter for them. They all think, okay, well, yeah, of course, we're all robbing the bank together. We're all going towards the same goal here. Maybe some small differences. It's mostly rhetorical differences and semantics. But it's the primary goal of a world order led by them. They want to be the person in charge. Communism, which is what all this is inherently cannibalistic. Okay, so they're going to fight. They're going to drag the nations into war. They're going to stir up contentions. The Comintern, for crying out loud, the Communist International was designed to spark revolutions and civil wars in all countries on earth. It is the ultimate globalism. That was led out of Moscow, financed from New York and London, some of the big financial centers, Switzerland. They're all involved in the same process of world subjugation. Yes, they're squabbling, but at the highest levels, they're on the same team. That's why you look Putin, Xi Jinping, Biden, Trudeau, Boris Johnson, Macron, all those guys. They're promoting the same trash. Might as well be straight from the Communist Manifesto. In fact, it is. So again, this is warfare. We're engaged in warfare. So one quote from, I believe, the 60s. This is from Ezra Taft Benson in his book, An Enemy Hath Done This. And that's a quote from the Bible. What is responsible for all this destruction? An enemy hath done this. He came secretly and did this. Secret combinations and conspiracies. So, Benson said, quote, let's get one thing straight at the very beginning. International communism is the self-avowed enemy of every loyal American. It has declared war against us and fully intends to win. The war in which we are engaged is total. Although its main battlefields are psychological, political, and economic, it also encompasses revolution, violence, terror, and limited military skirmishes. If we should lose this war, the conquering enemy's wrath against our people and our institutions will result in one of the greatest bloodbaths of all history. Call it a Cold War, if it makes you feel better, but our freedom and our very lives are the stakes of this contest. The trucker convoy in Canada and the one right now, the People's Convoy that's driving across the United States currently, is going to end up in Washington in a few days. COVID-19, the bioweapon being released, and then the war to justify a worse bioweapon in the form of vaccines, and lockdowns destroying the economy, war on terror, both the terrorists trained by Russia often, sometimes trained by the United States, sometimes trained by Israel, used against both sides. It's just every little thing like this. High inflation, the Federal Reserve cartel, all of these different things are part and parcel of warfare. They're different tactics in the war. It's all out war. Unrestricted warfare, as the Chinese colonels, the PLA colonels have called it. Go read the book, Unrestricted Warfare. It's using any means to achieve victory. That's what communism always did. Not just on the battlefield, but we're going to destroy your mind. We're going to destroy your family, twist it inside out, abolish the family. We're going to twist morals. We're going to make the West rot and stink. You know, the Frankfurt School of Judeo-Bolshevism from Germany came to the United States and set up shop, and then corrupted higher education. And it's just all of these different things. They're just avenues to achieve the same goals. Corrupt everything, destroy it, and replace it with this Illuminati clique. I've explained before how communism came from the Illuminati. Go read my book. Read my book here. Okay? Red Gadians. Read my other book, A Century of Red. They're both on Amazon. But get it through your head that this is war. And all warfare is based on deception. So what you're seeing right now in Ukraine and Russia, there's a lot of deception on both sides, but particularly from the ones who are the aggressors, the ones who are standing to gain from this. So just be aware as you're watching the news, what's true, what's not. Use a little discernment, place these into the bigger picture, see how it fits out, or how it works out. Okay? That's all I have to say today. Sic Semper Tyrannis, and long live liberty.